If you've spent any time online lately, you have probably seen the chatter, the hype, and definitely the fan art.
Oh, for sure.
We are diving today into this just spectacular cultural phenomenon. It started as a spicy sports romance novel and has now completely shattered records on screen.
We are, of course, talking about Heated Rivalry.
Yeah.
And this deep dive, it's really our shortcut for you. For anyone who wants to know exactly how a book about two rival hockey captains,
We secretly hate each other, but also desperately want each other.
yeah, how that story translated into a smash hit TV series on HBO Max and Crave Canada.
Our mission today is to go past the fan obsession and really understand the mechanics of this thing, because it's not just a hit, it's a record setter.
It really is.
Since it premiered on November 28th, the debut became Crave's #1 original series debut ever. It spiked their viewership by almost 400%.
Wow.
And the source material, it's not shy about calling it the gay internet's latest obsession.
And you can see why. The plot is just irresistible. It's the ultimate high-stakes, forbidden enemies to lovers story. But, to really get the TV show, we have to start with the books.
The literary foundation.
Exactly. Rachel Reid's Game Changer series.
And that's our first big point. The show is called Heated Rivalry, but that's actually the second book in her series. It's a whole universe.
A huge universe. The first book, Game Changer, it kind of sets the stage. And then we get Heated Rivalry and then 4 more books after that, including the big one, the sequel, The Long Game.
What's so important to know is that Reid is a genuine fan. She's from Nova Scotia, loves hockey, has since the 80s, and while her players are queer and fictional, she took inspiration from a real-life rivalry.
The Crosby and Ovechkin drama.
Which is such a genius starting point. You take that real, high-profile athletic tension and just infuse it with all this secret, simmering, romantic drama.
It is. But, okay, if you're new to the book, you might see the synopsis for Heated Rivalry and think, wait a minute, this starts years into their secret hookups. Am I missing something?
Right. A lot of readers worry they're just being dropped into the middle of the story with a few flashbacks.
And that's such a critical question for a romance novel, where you really need that initial investment from the reader. Does it kill the tension if you already know they've been together for years?
But it doesn't, not at all. And this is where Reid's writing is so smart.
So smart. While the novel Heated Rivalry has a prologue that jumps ahead, the rest of the book follows their relationship chronologically.
From the very beginning.
From the moment they first meet as teenagers, all the way to their professional peak. We're talking about a story that spans nearly a whole decade, from 2008 to 2017.
So you're not just told they have history. You actually witness every awkward, angsty, and explosive moment.
Yes, it's the ultimate slow burn, but it's achieved inside the frame of an already existing relationship. It's brilliant.
And that's why fans call it the perfect amount of angst. The struggle feels earned because you saw how it all started.
And the praise for the book makes that clear. It's a hell of a sweet, slow burn love story. Even with all the sizzling hot hate sex, the tension is never just manufactured for plot. It's real.
And crucially, the sources all say that Reid gets so much credit for being an author who actually knows hockey.
Right, but without getting bogged down in, play-by-plays or too much jargon.
Exactly. It keeps that perfect balance between sports authenticity and focusing on the romance.
If you can pull that off, you've done the hardest part.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's shift to the men at the center of this rivalry, Shane and Ilya, because they represent 2 totally different kinds of pressure.
On one side, you've got Shane Hollander. He's the captain of the Montreal Meteors in the show, and he's known for his spotless reputation. He's the all-American boy, the overachiever.
The poster boy. And Shane's whole struggle is deeply internal. His parents are great, they're supportive. We see them played by Christina Chang and Dylan Walsh. But that loving, high-achieving environment, it creates this immense pressure.
He feels like he has to be the best and biggest hockey star.
And in his head, being gay and out could derail that whole perfect image. His conflict is all about internalized homophobia and this fear of not living up to his own massive expectations.
That's a really interesting layer because usually in these stories, the parents are the villains. Here, the pressure is coming from his own perfectionism.
Now contrast that with Ilya Rozanov, the cocky, irresistible captain of the Boston Raiders.
Ilya is bisexual, and he's pretty comfortable with who he is. His problems are much more external and political.
Right. He's Russian. And the story makes it really clear that with the intense anti-LGBTQ+ laws in his home country, Coming out publicly would mean he could never go home again.
And his family, this cold, distant father and brother, they just make that isolation worse. We see that really early in the show.
So you have Shane, who is trapped by the need for a perfect facade, and then you have Ilya, who is trapped by the fear of political exile.
Their secret relationship becomes the only place where they can just breathe.
And over that 11-year timeline, the sex evolves. It starts as this angry, tense kind of hate sex, and it becomes something completely different.
I'm so glad you brought that up. The sources describe the explicit scenes as becoming a literal love language for them as the years go on.
It has to be.
They can't talk about their real feelings, not publicly, not even really in private, but their physical intimacy, that becomes the record of their emotional journey.
It's communication without the risk.
Mm.
And when you look at the sequel, The Long Game, which we're all so excited for, the relationship finally starts to show Ilya's deep vulnerabilities.
Because Shane finally creates that safe space for him.
Exactly. And if you need just one tiny detail that captures this entire dynamic, this hypermasculine world-class rivalry, it's their secret phone nicknames.
Oh, this is the best part.
Ilya is Lily on Shane's phone, and Shane is Jane on Ilya's.
It's so brilliant. It's not just a cute secret, it's a private joke. It's this tiny, constant act of rebellion.
Totally. They have to perform this role for the public, the fierce rivals, the captains, the heroes. But in their secret digital world, they use these slightly feminine, kind of ridiculous, harmless names.
It completely undercuts the whole performance of their lives.
It's the perfect thematic shorthand. Behind the helmets and the playoff beards are just two guys hiding in plain sight.
Okay, so let's transition to the show itself, the adaptation. The showrunners had a massive challenge here.
Huge. How do you translate a decade-long secret and all that intimacy into just 6 episodes?
Well, the production quality is top-notch, and they made a very smart move bringing on out director Jacob Tierney.
From Shoresy and Letterkenny. He knows how to balance those tough, masculine worlds with queer themes.
And the key decision they made, the one that calmed down all the book fans, was making the show just as horny as the books.
Which was the #1 fan fear, right? That they'd sanitize it.
But they didn't. They leaned in.
Another really interesting structural choice was in episode 3. The show was mostly focused on Shane and Ilya from book 2, but they took a detour.
They did. Episode 3 spotlights the couple from the first book, Game Changer.
That's Scott Hunter, played by out bisexual actor Francois Arnault, and Kip Grady, this movie barista. Fans call them Skip.
It was such a smart move by the showrunners. It immediately acknowledges the wider universe. It validates the fans of that first book, but it keeps the main focus on Shane and Ilya.
And it perfectly sets up potential spin-offs down the line.
The casting for the side characters also made some serious waves for representation. I mean, we can't list everyone, but one role in episode 4 really stands out.
Harrison Brown.
Harrison Brown playing Connors, one of Ilya's teammates.
And that casting choice, it just speaks volumes. For anyone who doesn't know, Harrison Brown is the first openly transgender professional hockey player in history.
His inclusion isn't just stunt casting. It adds this layer of reality to the fictional locker room, reminding you that queer athletes are in these spaces, even if they're not always visible.
And that's the same episode where Shane gets into that fake public relationship with the starlet, Rose Landry.
A classic trope that the fans just eat up. And we also meet Svetlana Vetrova.
Right. Ilya's Russian friend and occasional lover. She represents this kind of easier life for him.
A relationship with a woman from his country who gets his career. She's the foil to the impossible complications of his life with Shane.
It's so clear the whole production team knew exactly which characters were needed to raise the stakes. So after all that success, the big question became, what's next?
The good news is the renewal for season 2 was almost immediate. It came right after that record-breaking launch.
And they've been very clear about the focus. Season 2 will be The Long Game.
Book 6.
Which is the direct sequel to Heated Rivalry.
So we finally get the resolution. The Long Game is where their story gets its happy, definitive ending in the books. It resolves that decade of secrecy.
And the rest of the universe is just sitting there, ripe for adaptation. We still haven't seen the main couples from Tough Guy or Role Model yet.
And while we did get a quick glimpse of Kyle Swift, the bartender from Common Goal, in episode 3, there's just so much more story to tell.
The sources really emphasize how dedicated this readership is. We're talking about people who reread Heated Rivalry and The Long Game as their ultimate comfort reads.
It's way more than a passing fandom. It's a real commitment.
Readers feel so connected to Ilya, this flawed, cocky, secretly vulnerable guy, that the consensus online is he will always live there, rent-free in their minds. That kind of emotional investment is what guarantees this franchise will last.
So let's circle back and just synthesize why this all works so well. It's really this perfect storm of tropes people love.
You have enemies to lovers, the decades-long slow burn, and that high-stakes forbidden romance.
But the real sophistication is the setting, placing this story in the hypermasculine, globally famous world of professional hockey that anchors the romance in very real-world pressure.
It's not just two people who can't be together. It's two people whose careers, their safety, their entire public standing is threatened by how they truly feel.
And that fear, the pressure to live up to that image of the tough, straight sports hero, that's the real villain of the story. And it's why it resonates so deeply.
It just perfectly captures the difference between the public performance an athlete has to give and their private reality.
So to wrap this up, let's think about what this incredible fictional success means for the actual world of hockey.
It's an important question.
As it stands right now, the National Hockey League is the only major North American men's sports league with 0 current or former players who have come out publicly. Not one.
So we'll leave you with this final thought to consider. If a fictional story about a gay hockey superstar rivalry can become this huge of a cultural hit setting records, generating global obsession, what does that tell you about the audience's readiness? Maybe even their active yearning for real representation and change at the very highest levels of professional sports.